Shalom, Apostle Tahar coming back at you with this truth, giving all praise to Yahweh, Hashem, Yahushai, Hashem, Rakar, Kodash. And I'm going to entitle this one, Did the Apostles Know that the Romans were Edomites? In parentheses, the devil. And I don't believe that they knew that the Romans were the devil or the descended from the Edomites. Now they did know or should have known that Herod, which was set up as the king of Yahweh, which means the Judites, they knew that he was Edomite, but whether they knew or understood that the Romans were Edomites, I don't think they did, because why would you make a difference between Herod and the Romans? Now Herod and his children could pass for Israelites more than Edomites. Now whether the apostles are that deep in history, which I don't think they were. Remember, these were common men. These were regular men. The scriptures speak of in Corinthians not many noble, not many wise, not many noble. The Most High chose the meek. He chose the poor of the world, rich in faith. So Peter, Andrew, James, John, and the rest of the apostles, they knew that they were Israelites, but were they deep as far as the scriptures are concerned? Were they classically trained in the Hebrew and the laws? No, they were not. The only one that was classically trained in the law was the Apostle Paul. And the word apostle simply means sent away. That's all it means. Now, did the Apostle Paul know that the Romans were Edomites? There's really no scripture on it, although he speaks about the mystery of iniquity, which was now already in power. That's in the second Thessalonians. Was it 2 Thessalonians, the 3rd chapter? He basically spoke about that the mystery of iniquity is already in power. So he knew that the Roman Empire were a bunch of devils, that the Caesars were devils. Whether he knew or understood that, whether they were Edomites or not, I don't know. He doesn't say that. He speaks about Esau in the book of Hebrews. He speaks about Esau. So he did understand the book of Genesis. Of course, when it goes into Esau, so he did understand it. You got to understand something else, that the Apostle Paul knew a lot more than the rest of the apostles as far as the law is concerned, the history. He knew a lot because even the Apostle Peter spoke of him in 2 Corinthians, the 3rd chapter, around about the 15th verse, the last couple of verses. And basically he said that you get tied up you get messed up trying to, deal with what the Apostle Paul was writing about. He went over a lot of people's heads. Like the very statement that he made in 2 Thessalonians, the second chapter, when he spoke about the mystery of iniquity. He said a whole lot. Now, what he was talking about, first and foremost, was the Flavian dynasty that was going to take down the Israelites that were back there during that time. And how do you know that? Because Yahweh Shai gave the prophecy. He said, when you see the abomination that maketh desolate, then flee ye into the mountains. Excuse me. So the Most High, Yahweh Shai didn't say it just to be saying it. He said it for some people to understand it. And the Apostle Paul understood it. And the apostles, they understood it. But like I said, they didn't understand it as deeply as the Apostle Paul. Remember, Yahweh Shai was dealing with the Apostle Paul in the spirit. He came to him and he showed him revelation, a lot of breakdowns, a lot of revelations. Now, John, further proof that they didn't understand a lot of things is when you read about John on the Isle of Patmos, all those visions that he saw, dealing with the beast and the mark and all that, he didn't fully understand it. When he saw the woman on a scarlet-colored beast, he wondered with great admiration. When you look up that word admiration, it means with great love. Maybe he saw a woman that he thought was super attractive or, alluring. But he said he wondered with great admiration at that woman. He saw the splendor of that woman. He saw the splendor and the glory of America. Because at one time, America was the place to be. It ain't no more. And Donald J. Trump, the king of Babylon, he's not going to make it great. He's going to make matters worse. Even though he's trying to bring the economy back to the old, let's say the 50s, really after World War II. The greatness of America was after World War II in the late 40s, the 50s, and the 60s. In the 70s, that's when America started to go down, pursuant to the book of Obadiah. When you set your nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down. So during the time when they had the Apollo missions going up into space, they were in the midst of the world. They were in the midst of the Vietnam conflict, and prior to that, you had, Edomites that didn't know anything about drugs. Drugs wasn't big. Now, when they came back, that's when you had Edomites, coming back to the States, and they were high on these LSD, speed, cocaine, all these different drugs, and it brought down the so-called hippie movement, rebellion, free love. Prior to that, basically you went to church every Sunday. You had the Blue Laws. Look that up. I'm not going to speak on the Blue Laws, but look up the Blue Laws. You had what's called the Blue Laws. I'm going to look that up myself. Where you had, I'll speak on it briefly, where you had, on Sundays, all the stores were closed. You get grocery stores, supermarkets. Well, you really didn't have too many supermarkets, you know. But every store was closed on a Sunday. And I remember, you know, on Channel 9 in my area, they had the religious shows all day long. Jimmy Swaggart, Rex Humbard, all these different Osteen father. You got Osteen. He took where his father left off, because Joel Osteen's father, he set up a mega church. You know, I think this guy named Robert Schuller, he was a big Roman Catholic devil. He had a show, but I believe that's called your blue laws, where you couldn't, you know, if you open up a store, the cops would shut you down. They'll put padlocks on your door. You had to have everything. Every business had to be closed because that was their Sabbath, you know. But anyway, I ventured off into something else. Coming back to the disciples, coming back to the topic. The Apostle Paul had a deep insight of who the devil is. He made the statement that we're not ignorant of Satan's devices. So, you know, us now, we know everything. We are far, far, far more deeper than the apostles. And why is that? Because the Most High gave us that, you know, put it in our hearts, you know, open our eyes to this truth. We know all the scriptures. We know all the breakdowns, which when you go back to the time of the prophets, Daniel got sick when he saw those visions. You know, he saw Babylon raising out of Assyria, the Medo-Persian Empire, the Greeks, Alexander, the Roman Empire. He saw the first Roman Empire and the second Roman Empire. And the Apostle John saw the same thing on the Isle of Patmos. But they didn't understand it. They didn't know what was going on. When Isaiah saw the mushroom cloud, the destruction of America, he didn't know what was going on. They just saw it, and they wrote it down. Now it's for us to understand it and break it down, which proves that we have to be the men of the Lord. So, you know, in closing, did the apostles know as much as we knew? No, they didn't. You know, I hate to break the news to y'all, but no, they didn't. They didn't really know what was going on. As a matter of fact, in Acts, the 1st chapter, when Yahushua was amongst them for 40 days, one of the questions they asked him is, are you going to restore the kingdom to Israel? And basically he said no, but he told them that before that. You know, it was given for a certain time. Anyway, with that, I'm going to say shalom, you know, and, you know, stay strong. You know, this is the last stage. You know, we're in the home stretch. And for you guys that are lollygagging and BSing, you know, the Most High's gonna get rid of you, man. You know, and if you can't make 3 videos a week, hell, sometimes I make 3 videos a day. I mean, what the hell are you here for? Anyway, with that, I'm gonna say shalom, and this devil, man, when we get Esau in the kingdom, and let me say this for vocab and them, they're trying to say that the Edomites were done away with, or, you know, you guys are breaking it. The Most High just came from Gentiles too. Them guys are lost, man. I don't even take those clowns seriously. Everything that we've been saying concerning the future of Esau is going to come to pass. So the only thing that you can hope for is that you're not an Edomite. And with that, I'm going to say shalom.